These are off limits. Is ready?
Are ready, Mr. President, whenever you're ready, we're ready.
Okay, let's bring this meeting to order. It's Monday, March 28th, 2022. It's the Boards of Directors regular meeting. Would you do, clerk, would you do the call to order?
Yes, Director Arthur Perry,
Here.
Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer. Here. Vice President Mike Schaefer,
Here via Zoom.
President Robert Uten.
Here.
Thank you.
Please stand, place your hand over your heart and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Mike, have you got any kind words to say?
I'd be glad to while you're all standing. As I normally ask, please ask that this board take all considerations this evening and that all decisions are made in the best interest of all involved. Please look down on some of the sad situations that are going on in our world and provide some relief if you can, and let this weather dry up. Amen.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have any late communications other than the email you sent us to Mr. Mosier's?
Just
remarks?
Mr. Mosier's comments from earlier.
And I see no public here and there are no ceremonial matters or presentations. So we're going to adjourn to closed session to do the items, the two items that are on the agenda. Right. Let me ask, do we have a TV in there? Okay,
You're
so
set.
President or Vice President Schaefer will still be in the meeting.
Yes.
Is the recording on?
It is on.
Okay, we'll reconvene to open session. There in the closed session, there's no reportable action taken. We'll move on to public comments. There are no public here and is Mr. Mosier on?
Yes.
And does he have his hand raised?
It is not.
Pardon? No, okay, then we'll go on to the next item, which is the consent calendar. There are 15 items on the consent calendar. Does anyone want any item to be pulled to discuss, or do I have a motion?
I'll move for
Moved it.
approval.
Oh, you
Second.
do? Second.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? There are no public hearings. We're going down to item number G on the agenda, general manager's reports.
Yes, this is what I brought to the attention at the study session. I thought it might be a good timing to have a board member serve on the negotiating with CR&R.
Right.
I think, and I'd like to nominate Mike Schaefer to sit on that for us.
Do any of the other board members have any comment on this?
No, and he would report back to us, right?
Yeah, he would work with Scott and the staff to
Mhm.
try to expedite the CR&R.
He'd still be
negotiations.
involved.
Yeah, everything has to come back to us for approval.
It's like an ad hoc meeting, ad hoc committee?
Yeah, but it's not an ad hoc because it's just one board member.
Okay.
Well, I'll second the motion.
Any of the,
May I discuss? Bob,
pardon?
Mike has
I have a
comment.
question.
Okay, go.
This would be directed at Scott. I don't mind it serving at the pleasure of the rest of the board. That's not a problem. But how far along are we in the negotiations?
A few more meetings. It's hard to tell, but we're making progress. I can share with you what we discussed and agreed to at this point, and
Okay.
you can decide if you want to continue meeting with us or not. It's up to you. But I figure we have a few more meetings to go.
Okay, what I'd like to do, assuming the motion passes, is maybe set up a half hour, Scott, where you and I could meet to get caught up a little bit.
Sure, not a problem.
Okay. Thanks, Bob.
And just a question for Scott, because I'm in favor of this. It's a good idea, but before I say that, I should ask our general manager, are you good with having a board member there and you see some value in it? No,
Absolutely.
no red flags?
Not a
Cool.
problem.
All right, I support the motion.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
I made the motion
And
already.
did you second it? Or all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Go on to engineers reports. That would be Engineer Esker.
Thank you, Newton. For my engineers report, I just want to mention a couple of things. Number one, President's Pump Station is almost completed. Will probably be completed the first week of April, and I'll be looking to close out the project and probably during the May board meeting. And glad to hear glad to report that that project is just about done. I also want to report that we have 5 new projects that are in the works. One of them actually started field work last week. We're rehabilitating additional ductile iron pipe. And that project has probably another 6 weeks to go, and then we'll be completed with phase 2. Ductile iron phase 3 is hopefully will be awarded tonight. And then we will have one more phase of ductile iron pipe, and we should be then we will be complete with all the ductile iron rehab in our system. So if there's any other, I'm not going to go into all the detail, but if there's a specific question from my report or any of the attached reports, I'll be happy to answer questions at this time.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Mark, just in general with all the CIP projects, as we know, budgets and things are different now in the past several months and things are going the wrong direction. So how are you accounting for some of these CIPs with the increased construction costs and labor costs and inflation and gas? I mean, what's the plan here? Because I just foresee this going on for a while.
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm having to sit down, or I will be sitting down with our finance manager, with our general manager, and we'll be looking at the remaining capital outlay for this fiscal year. And then we're going to look at the outlay for next fiscal year, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions. We have, starting next year, I believe we have about $2 million, more or less, to do projects with, and we have about $2 million for the next 5-year period based on rates and so forth. So we're going to have to make some hard decisions. So I'm not ready to tell you what we're going to do yet, but I will say that we're going to have to take a close look and see, maybe we reorganize and maybe take some of the lower profile or least or urgent projects and move them off into future years. So I'll have to get back with you after talking with our general manager and our finance director, but I'm hoping it's not too bad and that we could at least readjust most of the budgets and do most of the work that we're trying to get done. Because I'm so close to having this agency caught up. And I know I promised you I would get us caught up, but I'm so close. I will say there will be some projects that are delayed till next year.
Yeah, and then in general, just from your process, from what you've seen, so the day you identify a CIP and then you go out to bid and to award, what's been your experience for average length for that point?
I'm going to say it's probably about 3 months.
3 months. So
Maybe 3.5, depends on what goes on, if we have addendum, all that fun stuff.
which is very good. So that's a quick turnaround. So for any public agency, so good work there. Or do you build in escalations with the contracts with these contractors?
We have not, well, we don't do it. We don't ask them to do it. But if I were a contractor and I had a 3-year project, I would definitely do escalation to midpoint of construction. That's, I'll say, typical in our industry. But a lot of our contracts are anywhere from 2 to 6 months long. So it's not as critical to do inflation on those smaller, shorter, I should not say smaller, but shorter duration projects.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
I have one other question about the Geisler work with OC sanitation. I know that they denied a couple of requests, but where are we at right now?
Yes. Update on that is we had a follow-up meeting about 2 weeks ago with OC Sands, District OC sanitation staff. They again did not want to approve our request. I contacted Kathy Millay, Director of Engineering, and she promptly got us in touch with Rob Thompson. Rob Thompson contacted me on Friday afternoon, late Friday afternoon, and we have a meeting scheduled, which I believe our general manager and our board president will be attending along with me and to discuss that project. But that's all I have for now, is that we're going to be meeting with Rob Thompson and see how it goes. So we'll have to report back to you, hopefully with good news next month.
Sounds good.
Mark, the DIP rehab phase 1, did it go pretty well?
Yes, it did. It was, I think we finished it in a month.
Well, but
No change order. We had no change orders on that. Oh, sorry. We had one elective change order. We needed to change out a manhole frame and cover, and I had hired a separate contractor over at the Hooters restaurant. We're lining the DIP across the channel there at Hooters, and we'd hired a separate contractor to do some change order work for us.
but they didn't see any, when they removed the scale, they didn't see any big problems?
No, they did not. And so far, when I was out Thursday night looking at our job on Bristol, we're lots of scale. I'm going to say anywhere from 1.5 inches of scale was removed out of that pipeline. But we didn't see any offset joints, nothing too bad. So it's good timing.
So the scale probably was protecting the pipe, but
Probably, but I'll tell you, it was rough enough that it was a hot spot and it was catching materials that were
Okay.
catching on it.
yeah, so that, okay, that's a logic. Any other questions for Mark on these projects? Thank you, Mark. That's receive and file. So the second one is it the second phase of the ductile iron? It's
Third phase, President
third
Newton.
phase. Do any of the directors have any questions on this item?
Thank you, Mr. President. I got the idea from your report. Is New Line, which bid are they comfortable with?
I believe they were comfortable with their lower of the two bids. In fact, they had called me to encourage me to accept that bid. After conferring with our consulting engineer, historically, what have we done with this type of bid in the past? Talking with our legal counsel, we elected to recommend to you tonight to reject that bid just because of inconsistent paperwork.
Is there a legal reason? Maybe a question for Alan, it seems like a clerical error, which yes, justifiable, you could reject the bid, but is there another legal reason?
Yes, there is. The law provides that if the bid would give an unfair advantage to one of the bidders, that's grounds to find non-responsiveness. And in this case, the bidder could ask to be relieved of his bid and without forfeiting his bid bond. And that gives him a competitive advantage because he could either take the job or not take the job and without risk. And so that is the reason why we supported staff's decision about that. It's, there's always an issue if you accept a bid like that, and then you have to get ready for the challenge by the other person. But staff recommendation was to reject, and we found legal support for that. It obviously was non-responsive, but then the next question is, could we have accepted it? And we think the better course is to reject as non-responsive.
And that would be because the other contractors, NorCal, could then protest the bid and then cause that issue. So further delaying everything, and then you run the risk of having to rebid it anyway. And that rebid probably will be a higher bid down the road.
Yes, it will, because we're finding the prices go up by the month.
By the week.
Also,
Yeah.
then he had more knowledge.
And
If you
everyone
knew what
knows
the other
where
bidders
everyone's bid
bid.
is at. Yep. Okay, I'm good. Thanks.
Do you need a motion on that to reject it? I
Actually,
move,
there's three actions there and you could take
Okay.
them all.
I could
You know,
try.
actually, one is,
I can-
different from number two. So if you could go through them, it would produce the best record.
Okay,
The
I'll-
first would be to reject the,
yeah, I'll start off. I'll
non-responsive.
give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion to reject the New Line Technologies bid as non-responsive and awarding a contract to NorCal Pipeline Services. And for the project 326 or 328 ductile iron pipe.
Second.
Is that all three of those, Alan? Did I get them all?
actually, number one is rejected as non-responsive. You could take
Okay.
Let's do number one. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Awarding a contract to NorCal Pipeline.
You could award the contract and give the contingency.
And-
That could be one.
Okay, okay. And the contingency, that's number two.
So item number 2 and number 3. Do I have a second?
We're combining 2 and 3, correct?
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Think that we can go on now to attorney's reports.
But treasurers, is there a treasurer's
Oh,
report?
is there a treasurer report, Mark?
No, nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Okay. We go on to attorney's report to consider adopting resolution number 2022-957, authorizing remote meetings. This is what we do monthly. Do any of the board members need further discussion on this? Do I have a motion?
I'll move to pass resolution number 2022-957.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Item number 2 under attorney's reports is consider approving General Manager Scott Carroll's employment agreement, including a 5% merit increase after receiving his performance evaluation.
I'll move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is actually, if I may, this is actually two items. Before you can vote on this, I have to give the oral report that was legislation following the Bell bankruptcy to do. And then I have to orally say what the significant terms of the increase for your manager will be. And the agreement will provide a 5% cost of living or merit adjustment. The cost of living was actually 7.1%. So this is actually less than cost of living. But the general manager only wanted 5%. That equates to a new yearly salary of $207,982.07. This is a $9,903.90 increase over last year. The general manager is also being provided with clarifying language that the severance package previously provided to him will also be provided if he, instead of being outright terminated, he's replaced because of a change in organization or because the district reorganizes. So that's another feature of the contract. Lastly, the pay and benefits are made retroactive to January 3rd, 2022. This is consistent with past practice and is authorized by the law when negotiations are ongoing and you have an anniversary date for somebody's employment. And that is the theory we've always engaged in, is you don't have to have everything locked in before the salary anniversary date. You can go back retroactively. And in normal situations, that would be a gift of public funds, but the law says no, if you're negotiating, you have a salary date, that's acceptable. That's not a gift of public funds.
So is this,
That's why he's getting retroactivity like he's given
Yeah.
every year. But it was a question that
yeah,
Mr.
is
Mosher
this
raised.
is this retroactive?
Yes,
Okay, I just want to be sure. Okay.
thank you. And that's the oral report complying with the Bell legislation.
I moved.
Number 2 would be approving the contract. And before you get to the contract, I do want to mention that Mr. Mosher did point out quite a few typos and things like that, tenses that weren't correct and verbs and that. We did fix those. He had good comments about that and we did fix those.
And just a question. So to Mr. Mosher's comments, so the edits you made, I'm trying to, and it had to do with the retroactive. Can you just briefly describe the retroactive thing we're talking about?
That's what I was just mentioning, is that the law allows, when you negotiate with your general manager, or if, let's say you had labor unions, you
Mhm.
negotiate with the labor unions, you can, you might have lengthy negotiation. You can go back to the, when the contract expired and say,
Yeah.
he gets
Right.
it back to the date that the previous contract expired.
Okay.
Takes the pressure off everybody to come to an agreement before the anniversary date.
Gotcha. Okay. So, all right. Thank you.
And Alan, did you mention the date? I think Scott's date of hire is January.
Yes, yeah, I mean, the way the words sequenced it, we straightened it out so that it's very clear about, we just used the hire date. I mean, we used the January 4th date when he started working. We got away from hire date because he actually got hired when we signed the contract, but he didn't
Right.
start working till
Right.
January. So we just used, that he started working in January.
So it's retroactive to January 4th.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Just a further point of clarity. So no cost of living adjustment, which could have been 7%. And our general manager has requested a 5% merit in lieu of a potential cost of living of 7%, right? Perfect. Thank you.
But question on that, does that revert back to the previous salary you had next year? Because you're going to 5% merit always continue on? That's what I'm saying. So 7% sounds like a better adjustment, but because you're just going to be reverting back to it the same amount. Okay, just so we all understand it.
And I can just add for the board that the COLA is what it is every year, and it's always
Yeah.
going to be a different number, and it's going to be a set number, and you can figure it out. But you can always give a merit adjustment
Yeah.
on that.
Okay.
But manager has to accept it, and he's not accepting what you want to give him. So that's where you are.
Well, I think it's a manager and his wife.
No comment.
Okay. Does this action need resolution? Well, wait.
Well, I had made the motion, but then I didn't hear a second.
Did we get all your parts into the motion? I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Did you say there has to be two separate ones, or was that all in one, inclusive?
The two actions,
Yes.
you just had to have the oral report precede your
Okay.
vote on the contract.
So
We
we're
took
good.
care of that. We have an A and a B action that we'll
Okay.
show in the minutes that we
Okay.
complied with that law.
So we'll indicate that. Okay.
Okay, I think any no's on this? And so it's unanimous. We'll go on to local meetings.
Did Mike vote?
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to be sure you voted.
Well, it's a lag in,
Mr. President, Mr. Mosher has his hand raised.
okay, Mr. Mosier, please.
Yeah, thank you, President Uten. I want to express my appreciation to the staff for considering the comments that I made. I think it's a good and very clear contract that you just approved. I think possibly it looked to me like a new feature might have been adding to the severance package the promise of a year of health coverage after termination, and should that happen, which I hope is unlikely. The main comment I wanted to make is just to commend the district on its practice, which is in the contract of providing performance goals each year for the general manager and actually making those goals public so that we in the public know what you are gauging the general manager's performance against. I believe most other agencies do have goals, but the board of those agencies, such as the city of Newport Beach, seldom make public what goals they are looking for. So I think it's very commendable that the Costa Mesa Sanitary District does make those goals public. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Now we can go on to local meetings. Do any of the directors have meetings that they need to report on?
I'll turn my report in. I could do it, writing.
And SARFA didn't, I think they met. Neither Director Perry or I were able to attend.
I couldn't attend because of the date. And Bob couldn't attend, but so I don't have a report. I know they met, but I'll give you an update in 2 months.
Is Doc,
Okay. My turn.
Arlene?
Okay. On ISDOC, well, actually, I'll just go through all the expense things, right? Okay. ISDOC met on February 20th, actually it's the 1st of February. And we had a board meeting and we just discussed, what we were going to be having for whether we would be actually on Zoom or we'd be publicly at Waco or at any of the water district places. And water district places are not up to having anybody yet. So we just kind of decided we'd go ahead with the Zoom. But I was concerned because in April, we have Neil McCormick, who is our CEO for CSDA. And I needed to tell him one way or the other so that he would know, because he's up in Tahoe and he's willing to do it from there, or he's willing to, come down to us and shorten what he's supposed to be doing up there as a meeting. So anyway, needless to say, we're going to be on Zoom. So it's good for him. And that's on the last Thursday of the month, which I'm pretty sure it's the 28th. And that's a great one for everyone to listen to because
28th of March.
of April. So this, we'll learn a lot out of that. And then I was on Zoom for the ISDOC one. I was on Zoom for this CSDA, which is a finance committee. And then the membership committee was on Zoom too that I'm on. This is all up in Sacramento. And then we had a study session on the 8th of February. And the liaison committee met on Zoom on the February 11th. So that was a Zoom also. And we had redistricting meeting in person on the 14th. And then we had a one-to-one with Scott and Bob in person. Orange County chapter of San Diego met. And so I was on Zoom for that one. They invited me to come to that meeting, and it was very interesting how that chapter and special districts down in San Diego conduct all the meetings. And then there was a board meeting, of course, on the 28th of February. So that took care of my expense sheet. And then also just to kind of inform you of different things of CSDA, because that would be the next on the agenda. We have Special Districts Leadership Academy coming up April 3rd through the 6th in San Diego. And this is a one in the south. And we're going to have one in the north also, but this is the south one. And it's an opportunity for our newest member to be able to get up to speed on everything too, and see how everything is done, which is great, and meet a lot of people. And then we have Special Districts Ledge Day. It's Legislation Day, which is May 17th, 18th in Sacramento. And it's at the Sheridan Hotel. And that's a great day for getting to know the different legislators. The Capitol, the Capitol is being improved constructed and so forth. So what we're going to do, we're going to have tables at the hotel, and we will have our legislators sitting at these tables that deal with like who's representing you up in the Capitol. And it's a great opportunity for us to get to know them in person as well. And then the Leadership Summit is June 19th to the 21st, and that's at Coronado Island in San Diego. And that is a real great opportunity for us. I'm on the board of that, so that what happens with CSDA, we're doing strategic planning. So we're looking at, what are we going to do for this next year? And so we get into that. So it's a good opportunity for people to, hear what's going on. June 19th to 21st is the date in San Diego. And then the CSDA conference and exhibit one is in Palm Springs. It's actually in Palm Desert. And it's a showcase where the vendors come, and we have a lot of different workshops. So you can take your choice of what you're interested in or what we're being involved in, which is great. And then the board and secretary / clerk conference is November 7th to the 9th. And that's in Monterey. Lucky them. So, and then our Mike Schaefer has just been elected to president of the CSDA, which is, CSDRMA. And that's a special privilege. And I know that we all congratulate him, and he'll do a good job. So that's great. And I was nominated for the Alliance because my term was up after 2 years. And so I got another 2 years now from my board. So that's great. And May 16th will go on. June 13th is a vote from the committee on what's taking place with the nominations. We have nominated Man of the Year, and then we've nominated Board of the Year too. So we're getting that together with with Mike and with Scott too. And so we have dates, and then I sit on the committee for that too. And that's coming up soon. See the trial, let's see what else is there, trial membership. Oh, and then we have a trial membership, which I think I've told you before. If you know anybody who's interested in being a member of CSDA, they get 3 months free, and they can get on the websites, they can hear what's going on and go to meetings. And after 90 days, then they determine whether they want to be a member or not. In that length of time, they can understand and be knowledgeable about what's going on with CSDA. And other than that, I think that's about it.
Any other meetings that need to be reported on?
So I don't know how
Oh,
many.
Mike, do you want to add anything on SDRMIA?
Yeah, just real quickly. Last week, we had our Safety Claims Day up in Sacramento. And probably the biggest thing to come out of that from SDRMA, we talked about, it looks like the rates are not going to be as bad on property and liability as we thought. So that'll be some relief for the district. The workers' compensation rates have held very successfully, so we've got that. But the big thing, and for our staff, if they haven't looked at it, I'd really encourage us to look at our cyber liability coverage. SDRMA announced last week that any district who currently has cyber liability coverage, they're going to be grandfathered in on their policy, and the cyber liability is going to continue. Special districts that don't have cyber liability are probably not going to get it, or they're going to spend most of their budget just for that. So just a plug to Scott. I think, I'm pretty sure we have cyber liability added, but if we do, then everything should be okay. And that's really it, Bob, for us, Jeremy.
We have that, Scott? Okay.
Any other meetings that board members need to report on? I'll be submitting my written report.
Oh, I might add one. I'm sorry, I have a sinus problem and my voice is not working. Anyway, I am going up to Sacramento this next week, the 7th and 8th for the board meeting. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to it's a board meeting on the 7th, and then the 8th is a finance committee that I sit on. So I just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, I think, Arlene, you reported on what we're doing under new business. Do we have any old business that we need to talk about? Under new business, I think, Arlene, you covered that. Do any of the directors have any oral communications or directors' comments?
President, did we address considering the nomination under new business?
Oh, I'm,
What?
Committee award nominations for California Special Districts.
oh, I thought, yeah, I misread that.
Did Arlene talk about that already?
Yes, I did. You're talking about the nominations for,
Yes, I thought you were going to vote on that.
We
on,
have to vote on that?
oh, we did. When we were going to go for man of the year and for the board, we voted on that.
I
That
don't
was,
I don't believe it was a
We
formal action.
previously voted on it.
we did.
No, it was just more of a direction, and then district council brought to our attention that it should have been voted on. That's why we put it back on the agenda, but we did discuss it. You gave us direction, but
Oh, I guess it's my fault because I just said, so do you all agree to this? Da, 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 da. And yeah,
So there are
was-
two nominations, one for the general manager
Yeah.
and one for what?
I'm board of the year.
Yeah, more.
So should we do it now
Yes.
to make it very formal? Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Can someone state the motion?
yeah.
Or state the
Voting on both
nominations?
matters, or you voting on the general
Hey,
man-
before we do this, I believe we've already taken this motion. I remember taking a vote, if not last month, the month before, when Arlene brought this up before. I think we've already voted on this, but I don't know if we need to do it again or not.
We can also go ahead and do it again just to make
It
sure.
won't hurt.
It won't hurt to do it.
Okay,
I thought we did.
But if
too.
someone could just
you could always
restate.
You could always ratify the decision.
Well, I could say,
ratify the decision.
I could say something on it.
Nominate the
This
general
is
manager.
every year we do the nominations for all the different categories. And we got the most for 4 different categories last year. We've had Secretary of the Year, we've had Staff of the Year. And in doing so, what happens is this goes to the Professional Development Committee that I sit on. And we look at all these, it's really massive of all of California, all the different nominations that come in for this and why they got it. You know, what did they do to get this? And it has to be community minded as well as being just involved with your own board and sitting on different items and being, of course, you have to be with CSDA.
Yep, well,
Yeah.
tonight we're going to vote on we're going to vote on what 2 award nominations, one for the general manager and one for
And for the board member.
board
of
member.
the
Okay,
year.
so that's the motion.
So Just to
second it.
clarify, we're nominating Scott, I assume,
Yeah,
and we're nominating with it Mike, or
yeah, that's who
is
we.
that, okay,
I
I just want to be clear.
actually-
Okay.
Actually, I
Do
thought
I have
we
a-
We're not nominating the general manager across the county or something.
No, no,
huh?
no, no.
Just
Okay,
making
do I have a
sure.
motion for those two
Make
nominations?
a motion to ratify our previous decision of those two.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? We'll go on to oral communications and director's comments. Do,
Just real briefly, I just wanted to thank Scott for someone who's been involved in different negotiations. Thank you for a fair negotiation. As a member of the public also said, I think we have a fair contract, and we're thankful for you and the staff that you put together, because our staff is amazing, and that's direct from the leader. And so we appreciate that, and thank you, and look forward to another good year ahead. So,
thank you. Thank you, Director Eccles. If there are no other oral communications or director's comments, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your participation.
Yeah.
See y'all soon.